Loads on the first try. I got it not to do it earlier, so that was fun. Alright, NFL GM is live now. Yeah, I don't want to be hosting anybody. I want to... see if... Oh, I have to watch the ads on this. I forgot, because I'm not on the NFL GM League thing on my computer. I'm on my own personal Twitter.
Oh, LOL. That's awesome. One of the subscribers is me. Or one of the subscribers.
Oh, nice.
One of the people in the
Viewers?
Yeah, thank you, because I can't speak. One of the viewers is me.
Hello, Kevin.
Kevin. Shout out to you, Kevin. Hope you're having a good day, man. I know it's probably been tough.
Yeah. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes it. You never sent me the list, by the way, I don't think.
Sure didn't.
Unless I was in.
Nope, sure didn't.
I was going to say, I was like, unless I was in there. Yeah, I was like, I never got that. So,
nah,
I mean,
you don't get anything.
Mostly. Hello, Pod. How are you? Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all good. Not a big deal.
0-3-3 game. Who's Poe playing again?
Ravens. I'm gonna open that up on a
okay.
different channel.
Nice.
It's Underdog XXXX something. I don't know.
I think it's like
A lot of
6
X's.
X's in the front and in the back, with underdog in the middle, or something like that.
It's XX under XX dog XX.
Okay. Not as many X's as I thought. So, Pode and Mike, that's the only game that's going right now?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not terrible. You think we get through the wild card tonight?
Maybe. That's possible.
Historically, I think we have. We've made it through
we
the divisional round and stuff, so it's possible.
Yeah. We can go ahead and start. We got 8. So,
Sure.
Hey guys, welcome to the All-Pro / All-Rookie for the 2023 season. Also at the end, it doesn't matter if Sam sticks around for it, but I'm going to do draft grades for the 2021 draft that I promised a while ago. So.
Oh, I'm sticking around.
Okay. Yeah, I meant to. I was gonna do it today after State of the Franchise. I just got busy. So, but yeah, I'm Kyle. That's Sam.
What's up? I am excited. My team's at home on a bye. Number 1 seed in the NFC. Can't wait to have to play Vince next week. Lose. Cry.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the all-rookie team. I guess at the top though.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Yep, at the top, we're gonna mention. So starting next year, we are going to change the sliders around. We're gonna bump down run blocking to 55, and these are just tentative things. Like if we see things, we will change them some more, but right now, run blocking to 55, pass blocking up to 55, tackling up to 50, and some XP sliders to tight end and O-line.
Yeah, there are a couple other ones we discussed, but O-line for sure, at the very least.
Yeah, and we're not 100% sure what the XP sliders are going to go to, but it'll change, and we'll announce it when we finalize that. So I know that there have been a lot of people who have had a lot of problems with the sliders, and we understand that, so we're trying to fix it. We may do some, we haven't talked about it yet, but there may be, we may stick at week 1 of the preseason, or maybe week 2, since that's a week that more starters play. and have people stream those games so we can see and make adjustments.
Right, because the last thing we want to do is, the first couple seasons we would make changes in the middle of the year, and that's just not really great because it can affect, games, how games are played, and team seasons. So we want to try to get it right before the actual season starts. And the other thing that we're doing is, so I know quite a few of you have voiced your concerns over fumbles, and we took a long look at it, and what we noticed was that a majority of the fumbles are coming from quarterbacks, whether that be the scrambling quarterbacks or just QBs in general taking a bunch of sacks. So what we were doing is, for quarterbacks only, we are actually going to be doing a boost across the board. So every quarterback is now going to have at least 70 carrying, because we have guys like Giles and Ford who have both have 20 plus sacks. Huntley and Baker have 14. So, those are just like historically bad numbers, and it's because these quarterbacks have really low carrying. So we're going to be raising those, and for like Trey Lance is the QB with the highest carrying grade at 77. He's fumbled, I think, 6 or 7 times. If we can get it to there across the board, I think we would all feel more comfortable, because I think we can all agree there does need to be a setback with scramblers, with how OP they're being. So that's why, in addition to, raising the pass blocking sliders for the field general and strong arm QBs, we also want to try to we want QBs to have less than 20 fumbles a season. Like, that would be pretty dope.
Somewhere in between 6 and 12 is what we're shooting for.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, we will probably look at changing the slider for fumbles. We just don't want to do it right now because some teams don't have any fumbles outside of their QBs and a couple like wide receivers. So we're trying to get it to where QBs fumble less, but other guys still have a chance to fumble.
To just reinforce that point before we do all rookies, the highest non-QB fumble is Kerryon Johnson with 6, and that's honestly really not terrible. So if we can, when we discuss lowering fumbles, like Kyle said, there are QBs who, like, my guy has 1, and I don't think Najee has fumbled all year. So
Najee doesn't have a fumble.
Yeah, we would basically
guarantee that he would never fumble.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. So we're trying this first, and obviously, if it doesn't work, we will try something different. But we hope this kind of settles the fumbling issue with QBs. And of course, if you guys like to voice your concerns, definitely feel free to mention that in the general channel or message one of the CMs directly, myself or Kyle. We will bring your concerns to the CM team where we can discuss it. So I think that's about it. So just to recap, run blocking is going down, pass blocking going up, tackling going up, and there's going to be some XP changes for
and carrying.
Carrying for QBs is going up, and XP sliders are going up for a couple of position groups. If you have any more questions about that, please feel free to let us know. But all those changes will be coming in the off season.
No problem, Pod. I mean, it was something that we were looking at, but definitely when I started taking a look at the sack numbers just were too high, and I had experienced it with.
Yeah, and it's we look at these stats throughout the year. It's just that, if we don't talk about it all the time, it's because we're either, we talk about it in the CM channel, but also because there's not a lot we can do in season because we don't want to make those changes in season. So if you feel like the CMs aren't, paying attention or anything, we are, we know with the sacks, the fumbles, and the historic rushing numbers. We noticed
Yep.
that they were all too high, so we
Trust me, we notice.
yeah, like we just couldn't make a change until the off season. But with that being said, do you want to go to the all rookies?
Yep, we're going to start with all rookies, and let's go ahead and let's start with rookie QB, and let's start with Brett Ford, who will be the all-rookie QB. Congratulations to Pode.
Yeah.
Not a ton of passing yards. He only averaged 218 per game, so almost 3,500. But he did throw 19 touchdowns and only 8 interceptions. And then if you factor in the rushing, he rushed for almost 900 yards and 5 touchdowns. The fumbles were concerning, but realistically it came down to Ford and Truman. Truman also, had 13 fumbles and threw 13 interceptions. So it was right down to the wire with these two guys. It could have been either one of them.
For sure. Both these guys, had really nice rookie campaigns. So Pode and Blair should be happy with their QBs after year one. And Pode should be even more happy because Ford's carrying, as of right now, is
Right.
I think it's in the 50s. Okay, it's 62, so it's getting bumped up 8 points. So shouldn't have as many sacks next season. So
Fumbles.
Oh,
You should still have some.
yeah.
So moving on to running back, the rookie running back in flex will go to Lin May of the Chargers, who rushed for 1,629 yards and 13 touchdowns, along with 600 yards through the air and 2 touchdowns, and Jeffrey Morrison of the Saints, who rushed for 1,800 yards and 9 touchdowns and added another 400 through the air.
Yeah.
This was a 3-horse race all season with May, Morrison, and McCullers, the Triple M's threat there. McCullers was top 4 in rushing yards in the league. That's the reason that he gets the edge here. And he only fumbled once. All 3 of you guys should be really happy with the production you guys have gotten out of your rookie running backs this season.
Yeah, absolutely. This again, another really good running back class from the auto-generated Madden draft. So any of these guys could be deserving, to be honest. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 of these guys at some point in their career made an all-pro team.
Yeah, so congratulations to you and Phil. And sticking with Phil,
hey, you know what wasn't as good? This rookie receiving class.
Ooh, this was rough. First, Dennis Averill, 846 yards and 4 touchdowns. A fine year. Not as good as some of our other rookie receiving classes. And making his second rookie receiver on the team in 4 seasons, Spaz got Alani Baldwin on with 519 yards and 3 touchdowns. When we were doing this list, guys, and it'll come up later, we were literally scrolling down stats just trying to find rookies and just not finding them.
It was brutal.
For a few positions, and this was one of them. Just guys don't need as many rookie wide receivers with as good as some of the older guys have been. So
this next one
shout out to
you guys. This next one was pretty easy though. Rookie tight end Kyle Griffin from the Patriots had 834 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns.
Nice. Definitely rigged. Definitely rigged, Pode. I agree. Kyle Griffin was the only tight end who, your guy was pretty good, and then it was a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, he fell off. Yeah, Griffin was definitely the choice.
Oof. So moving on to, I'm just gonna read these names off for the all rookie offensive line because it's bad except for one dude, and we'll talk about the one dude. So offense, Dylan Rowland for the Jaguars. offensive guard Nicholas Scuggs for the Raiders, offensive guard Brian Beavers for the Chargers, and offensive tackle Keon Mitchell for the Bills. And then the one guy who was good was offensive center, the center for the Bucks, Colin Hall. Only gave up 1 sack all season. Had a strong case for All-Pro. It was just the guys in front of him, their offenses were a little bit better this season.
I'd like to point out. I'd just like to point out, Dylan Rowland gave up 18 sacks this year.
I think that Keon Mitchell also had a bunch given up, if I remember correctly. I think those two guys were both pretty high up on the sack list.
Yeah. So if you guys get rookie offensive linemen, like just if you draft them, just
11.
start it.
Yeah, they'll probably win.
Yeah. You get below 15 sacks as a rookie tackle, like you're doing really good.
Maybe you might even be able to give up 18. All right, so moving on to the defense for the all-rookie team, we have maybe the best rookie pass rusher we've seen in the league so far. In Kelvin Mobley for the Chiefs, he had 17.5 sacks and 11 tackles for loss. And then for Vince Lions, he got Darren Moss on with 11 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, a forced fumble. And it was really for this second spot between him and Colts guy Claiborne.
Yeah, KJ, I think.
Yeah, he had 1.5 more sacks, but 4 less tackles for loss and no forced fumbles. So it was tough. Like, that was a tough decision, but again, another really good. Like, I mean, we didn't even get to Pode's guy, Amari Grant, because he ended up missing a bunch of games. And he had 11 sacks and 6 tackles for loss. So, I mean, if he didn't miss games, he probably would have been the clear-cut winner on this.
Oh, yeah, he'd be on this list for sure if he didn't get hurt. But I'll tell you this, Vince having a really nice drafting cycle.
Vince has been excellent at drafting this Madden. To the point it's a little frustrating for me
because
I'm like
Waddle, Woodard, Moss.
Yeah, and I mean good. That's just the guys. So congratulations to Vince and Fenwick. So moving on to interior, and we'll start with Atlanta defensive tackle Walt Hooker. Had 10.5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. And then Vikings defensive tackle Keenan Harris had 8 tackles for loss and 8 sacks. So, not great from the interior line, but better than last year. Last year was a lot harder for interior guys.
Yeah, last year was not ideal.
So moving on to our to off-ball, or I guess congratulations to Oscar and John. So moving on to off-ball linebackers, where in the rare time that we were unable to fill a list, we only had 2 guys on this list.
2. Legit 2.
Yeah. We went through every linebacker, or like every defensive player, and could only find 2 linebackers who were rookies who played, who weren't edge guys. So Dominique Thomas for the Vikings, 56 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 3 sacks. I mean, I guess he was the best of those guys. And then Steelers guy, what was his name again?
Jonathan Maxwell for the Steelers.
With 92 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, a sack, 1.5 sacks, and an interception. So I mean, you guys could play some rookie linebackers. That'd be nice.
Legit, just play them.
They want to
just have them sub in every now and then. They'll get on the list.
Yeah. I don't think Dominique Thomas was a starter. I think he just kind of came in. So congrats to John and Team Perp for you guys making it. Moving on to corners, we'll start with the Raiders. We'll start with Twinkie, my boy Twinkie, coming back to the league. Aaron Paul had 4 interceptions, 7 deflections, a forced fumble, and a touchdown. Really nice for Twinkie to have this guy on the roster.
Yeah, one of his 3 good players.
Yeah. Next up is Cardinals cornerback John Blades. Ended up with 3 interceptions, 10 deflections, 2 forced fumbles, a sack. Had a really nice season. Was pretty much guaranteed to make it all throughout this season. He was the best, one of the best rookie corners. And the last corner who made it was Chad Manning for the Patriots. This was another one where it was just kind of like, okay. He had 3 interceptions, 8 deflections. Had a pretty nice season for Cody. It's hard to step up and take over for a legend like Stephon Gilmore. So,
yeah, congrats to those guys.
You want to do the safeties?
Sure. Yeah, so first up we have probably one of the easier picks in 49ers safety Kyle Garland. This was the guy, if you remember from the draft, that was X Factor Dev right off the bat, which is just honestly pretty incredible. And he had a nice rookie season. Ended up with 3 tackles for loss, 3 picks, 5 deflections, 1 forced fumble, and let's see, no touchdowns. And then the other guy at safety is Luke Meadows for the Chiefs. And let's see here. He had
nothing really, but
yeah, he really didn't have that much. But outside of Garland, that was like really one of the only rookie safeties that played. Yeah.
I can do this.
No,
he had 28
honestly,
tackles.
it took me a while to find him because I was like, dang, this dude's far down.
He had 28 tackles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
1 deflection.
To Ben and and the forced fumble. That was what did it. That's right. So congrats to Fed and congrats to Logan. Again, this was another position. We almost thought we didn't have one. We couldn't find these guys, and we were a little worried that was going to be another position where we just had a spot missing.
Yeah. Thankfully, thank you, Luke Meadows, for making our lives a little bit easier.
So we'll just run through the kicker or the special teams real quick, and then move on to second team. So kicker Cole Watson for the Seahawks, punter Cole Bush for the Panthers, kick returner Dion Ayers for the Lions, and punt returner Calvin Stewart for the Ravens. So congrats to Russ, Kevin, Vince, and Mike. So let's go ahead and move on to the second team, which really wasn't solidified until the last game of the season was done, and we'll get to that position later. So starting with quarterback, in what was a kind of an upset here, Carson Wentz gets the second team quarterback spot.
Yeah.
So it came down to he had about maybe less than 100 yards less than Sam Darnold, but the 3 more touchdowns, is exact same interception numbers. And it was Darnold had a rushing touchdown, but it wasn't enough to cut the distance, and it was real. This was a really tough one this year. There was no clear cut. Well, there was a clear cut number 1, and then the last few years, it's been a pretty clear cut number 2.
Yeah,
but this year not as much.
Yeah, this year at number 2, we talked about Wentz, Darnold, and there are a couple guys we threw in. But ultimately, it's usually not a conversation, and this year it was. Because we had Darnold penciled in here until Wentz's final game, because that game hadn't been played yet. We ended up changing it. But moving on, the running back in the flex, we have former Super Bowl MVP Ezekiel Elliott for the Cowboys, and former league MVP Thurman Wyrick for the Bears. Both these guys had really, really nice years, and that that Wyrick trade suddenly doesn't look as terrible.
Yeah, I just want to talk about this real quick. I mean, Elliott had 2,000 total yards and 19 touchdowns. And Wyrick had something like 2,200 total yards and also 19 touchdowns. So it was just a matter of, because Cam Akers also had a case. He had I think it was 2,000 total yards and 16 or 17 touchdowns.
Right.
And I mean, there were a few guys. Literally, I mean, you could go down the list. There were guys like Miles Sanders, Najee Harris. I mean, your
Ronald
rookie,
Jones.
Ronald Jones, Phil's rookie, even Pode's rookie. Like, all of these guys had cases for second team All Pro. Like,
Yep.
it was tough because I mean, like, I said it in the chat because somebody brought up somebody else, and I was like, well, you can't bring them up because I'm not even bringing up Najee, who had 2,000 total yards and 20 touchdowns. So
Yeah.
you can't bring that. You can't bring this up. So
Right. Derrick Henry was another one as well.
and Derrick Henry, who had like I think it was like 2,400 total yards, but only 11 touchdowns.
Right.
So
So
it
yeah,
was
the
rough.
the running back is it's the running back is always, I think, the second toughest group to try to sort
Yep.
out besides linebackers. But this year especially, there's just so many good running backs. But moving on to wide receivers, so second team wide receivers, we have McCole Hardman for the Chiefs and Henry Ruggs for the Raiders. So congrats, Twinkie. You get your young cornerstone guy.
Yep. I mean, I just want to talk about these guys. Hardman had 1,231 yards and 9 touchdowns, and Ruggs had 1,131 yards and 9 touchdowns. I mean, this was another one where the last spot wasn't penciled in or finished until the Eagles game was done because we were looking at Michael Thomas also for this spot. Michael finished with like 50 more yards than Ruggs, but 1 less touchdown, and Ruggs's yards per catch were the key here for second team. He just he was really explosive, and I think about it. One guy had the second team All Pro quarterback throwing to him, and the other one had Josh Rosen.
Yeah, that's fair.
So congrats to
the goat Josh Rosen though.
Yeah. Congrats to Fenwick and congrats to Twinkie for second team All Pro here. Moving on to tight end, we have George Kittle with 1,073 yards and 6 touchdowns. This was another one where like there's another guy who had about the same amount of yards, but I think only like 2 touchdowns. So
yeah, and then we'll just.
I'm sorry, Roy.
Oh, no.
I'll turn him off. I forgot to turn him off. I gotta log into the actual NFL GM thing. Go ahead.
Sorry that we're successful now, Roy. I'll just run through the offensive line, which
okay
is nice because this is the first year that it's really not just a bunch of Patriots players. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, there's a Patriot player on there.
Yeah, but it's not like it has been where like every Patriot gets on here.
Yeah.
So left tackle, we have Tyrone Smith from the Cowboys. Left guard, we have friend of the program, Wyatt Davis from the Dolphins.
No. He was first team. No, he was second team. Never mind. I'm thinking of a different position.
Okay.
You are correct. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was about to say. You're gonna have to get Cody in here, be a mediator or something. Center, we have David Andrews for the Patriots. Right guard, David DeCastro for the Seahawks. And right tackle, Mitchell Schwartz for the Washington professional football team. So congrats. What's up?
Just to defend Roy, I also got an ad. No, I was confused. I was thinking of a different player. I just want to talk about right tackle Mitchell Schwartz here with 7 sacks. Again, right tackle is a wasteland of terribleness. Like, There were a couple guys who only played like 11 and 12 games who had like 2 or 3, but they just didn't play enough.
Right.
So we can move on to edge rushers, and let's just stay at Washington, and let's go to edge rusher, left end Montez Sweat, who had 19 and a half sacks and 8 tackles for loss. Another really solid year for him. This is the 4th straight year that somebody from that Washington edge has made an All-Pro team. So congrats to Rebel there. And then
you know what? If I may, just real quick, don't want to take too much time away because we got stuff to do. But earlier today, comment that you would take this Washington defensive front over everybody.
I still would.
So
I would.
I just like to remind the people, the Saints finished with 75 sacks as a unit this year. The Broncos 74, and let's see how many Washington had. Let's see. We got to go way down the list here, huh? I wonder why. 49. That's interesting. So
the Washington team had 87 sacks last year. So
weird.
Don't come at me.
That was last year. That was last year.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
49 to 75 and 74. I said on this program, I'm not good at math.
All right. Well, then
that seems a little better. So gotta defend me and Brendan.
Who's number
here.
3 on that list? Who's that number 3 on that list?
It's you, but we weren't.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm not. So it's a team effort. You guys had great seasons this season. I would take the consistency that has been Washington long term. Yes, you guys both had really nice seasons. Washington doesn't have a single guy who's over 30 yet.
Whatever.
You guys
enjoy your 49 sacks. Let's move on to Shaq Barrett.
Shaq Bear.
In
the last year's reigning sack getter. He had 21 and a half and 6 tackles for loss this season. This is the last guy who got on the list. It was between him and one other guy for first team. And Shaq just didn't do enough in his last game. It was close though. I really argued for Shaq, but I will admit to being wrong after re-looking at the stats. It was a pretty clear win for the guy who got. Okay, well now you're just being. Look, man, I made a lot of concessions on this goddamn list. So moving on to interior defensive line.
I don't know how this next guy got on this list. This is a mistake.
I mean, Carl Lawson. Roy runs a
complete bum.
3-4. He had 18 sacks, 9 tackles for loss. This was one, guys. If you have an end who's playing in a 4-3, but you're playing him at defensive tackle, ask to get him moved to defensive tackle. There were a couple guys who I went and looked at, and they could have gotten on this list if they were listed at the correct position. Guys who were clearly playing 4-3 D tackle, but are listed at end. You can't do that because then I have to go with the 3-4 interior guys. Trust me, I didn't want to put Carl Lawson here, but he had the best stats of anybody who I knew played 3-4 end. And then the other guy was former Jet, now current Seahawk, the man formerly known as Quinnen Williams. I mean, I guess he's still known as Quinnen Williams. 17 sacks and 9 tackles for loss. So congrats. This could have been you. So congrats to Russ and Roy, proving once again that the NFC West is the best division in football. You want to do the off-ball linebackers since I'm protesting?
Oh, okay, that's fine. So I was on the team ones because I wanted to make you feel bad about the sacks, and I got to go back to individual stats. Hold on. We'll start out in Atlanta, where making his second straight appearance on an All-Pro team is linebacker Deion Jones, honestly just a tackling machine. Had 232 tackles, 18 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 18 deflections, 7 forced fumbles. The dude is just an absolute monster. Joining him is Amari Burney for the 49ers. And I have to go look at his stats real quick because Kyle is protesting. Let's see here. Amari. All right, Amari Burney had 159 total tackles, 3 sacks, 7 interceptions, which is really impressive for a linebacker, 9 deflections, 3 forced fumbles, and 1 touchdown. And the last spot is going to another guy who is also making his second straight appearance on an all-pro team, and that's C.J. Mosley in New Orleans. My man had 190 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, 5 picks, 12 deflections, 5 forced fumbles. All these guys had really nice seasons. Again,
they had really nice. They had really nice seasons. They had really nice seasons. All of them.
Yeah.
All of them had really nice seasons.
Yeah.
None of them had better seasons than Jerome Baker, but we're not here to talk about that. For real though, congrats to Logan, Sam, and Oscar. And I want to give a shout out to Blair also here because, Miles Jack had a nice season. Yeah. He had 184 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 6 interceptions. Just didn't force any fumbles. And I'll give myself a shout out here too with Jerome Baker with 212 tackles, 21 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, 1 interception, 3 forced fumbles. It was a tough thing this year with the linebackers. It was kind of, as it always is, I think. And I think you said that. So, moving on to corners, we have. We'll start in Cincinnati with Eric Stokes.
Before you get that, Blake, we have to shout out the apparent GOAT, Blake Cashman. He had a nice season. 216 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, 3 picks, 14 deflections, solid 0 forced fumbles.
Look, man, I guess we can shout him out. He had a nice season.
He's fine.
It's just it's tough. Like linebackers, hopefully with tackling going up, there will be less of the assist tackles and more guys making solos, so the numbers won't be as inflated. You know,
right? For sure.
So moving on back to Eric Stokes of the Cincinnati Bengals, who had 5 interceptions, 12 deflections, 3 forced fumbles, and a touchdown, making his second appearance on an All-Pro, All-Rookie team. He made All-Rookie a few seasons ago. Cardinals DB Byron Murphy with 5 interceptions, 12 deflections, 3 touchdowns, and then Packers cornerback Demarcus Lenoir with 6 interceptions, only 5 deflections, 3 forced fumbles, and a touchdown. All these guys had really nice seasons. And this was a little bit easier this season than it has been in the past, I think, to figure out the corner spots.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on to safety. First one is, did I misspell this guy's name? I know he's a legacy player.
That's right.
Is it Khalid Cates?
Yep.
Yeah, Khalid Cates for the Cowboys. He had 4 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 5 picks, 7 deflections, and 0 forced fumbles, 1 touchdown, and the other is Kyle Duggar for the Pats. While I look up his stats,
I can do it. 4 tackles for loss. Okay.
Go for it.
4 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and a touchdown. This was a tough one. There was a third guy, Kevin Byard, who I want to give a shout out to. Was real close to making this list.
I fought for Byard, but ultimately was.
I also. It came down to the forced fumbles.
Yeah.
which is a theme that we'll get to later. You want to run through the special teams?
I mean, if I have to, I guess I'll run through the special teams.
And I'll talk about the first guy you're going to mention after you get done.
All right. Second team kicker is Blake Mazza out of Detroit. Second team punter is Tress Way out of Washington. Kick returner Nate Burton from Philly. And punt returner Kadarius Toney from the Steelers.
So just to talk about Blake Mazza for a quick second. He was perfect, and he did kick a 50-yarder, but he only attempted one 50-yarder. That's the only reason that he didn't make first team, is because we've kind of found out that there was a mistake made in the first draft, that none of these kickers have high enough kick power, so they don't try to kick. No, so they don't attempt over 50-yarders. Having the 150-yarder is the problem here. And yes, technically the Seahawks kicker also didn't miss a kick. So, it wasn't easy, but we went with somebody who made more over 50, and their only miss came from 50 plus. So, so moving on to first team All-Pro, we have Panthers quarterback, not Packers, Panthers, Baker Mayfield, threw for 5,200 yards, 29 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. Just had a really nice season for Kevin down there in Carolina.
Yeah, Baker made it too tough to ignore him, leading the league in passing, and had a really nice touchdown to interception ratio as well. It's nice not seeing Deshaun Watson at the top of the list.
Yes, it's very nice. You want to go ahead and do running backs?
Sure. So running back in flex, we have Joe Mixon, the 2023 MVP from the Bengals. Joining him is J.K. Dobbins from the Ravens, who I believe made second team last year.
Yes.
Yeah, both these guys had really awesome seasons. Both rushed for over 2,000 yards. Dobbins had 21 touchdowns. Mixon had 17 touchdowns. Yeah, both these guys definitely deserving.
Yeah, so congrats to Cirilio and to Mike. Moving on to receivers, we have consistent All-Pro Stephon Diggs, who had 1,500 yards and 13 touchdowns, and making his second straight appearance on the All-Pro team, Amari Cooper with 1,300 or almost 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns. Both these guys had awesome seasons. Both of their quarterbacks were considered for All-Pro, so that makes sense. Diggs has been a monster in this league for the entirety of this Madden cycle, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
Probably not. Moving on to tight end, we have David.
So congrats to Kevin and no other one.
Moving on to tight end, we have David Njoku out of Washington. 1,251 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns, an absolute monster at the tight end spot. Definitely Brian Sharp's favorite weapon, it sure seems, in Washington.
Yep. I'll go ahead and do
offensive line.
Shout out to Rebel for that. So I'm just going to list off both the guys who made it from the Colts. We have left tackle Braden Smith, who only gave up 2 sacks, and right guard Abraham Lucas, who only gave up 1 sack. From the Buccaneers, we have left guard Jalen Mayfield, who gave up 1 sack. From the Dolphins, Drake Jackson, who gave up 1 sack. And right tackle Joe Thuney from the Patriots, who gave up 2 sacks. So, this was nice to see a bunch of guys not giving up a bunch of sacks this season. For sure. This is the first time I think we've had an All-Pro list where there was our first team All-Pro where there wasn't at least one guy who gave up 5 or 6 sacks, so that was nice.
Yeah, that was really nice.
So moving on to edge, you want to go ahead and I'll let you do edges.
Heck yeah. All right, so to begin with, we have Joey Bosa out of what was known as San Diego, now LA. Bosa had 26.5 sacks, 14 tackles for loss, 69 total tackles. Nice. And let's see, how many forced fumbles? 2 forced fumbles. 2. So obviously super deserving. And making his second straight appearance on an all-pro team, his first appearance on first-team all-pro from the New Orleans Saints, David freaking Bowen. 21.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 1 deflection, 4 forced fumbles, and a touchdown.
Yeah, and this basically came down to the forced fumbles and that touchdown to separate him from Shaq Barrett.
Yeah, we know how to rush the passer in the NFC South. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I don't know what the rest of you guys are doing, but we know how to sack.
So moving on to interior, congratulations to Sam and Phil there, as I have to cut Sam off so he stops patting himself on the back too much.
It's been a rough day, okay?
I know. I'm sorry Auburn lost so bad. Broncos right end, Aaron Donald had 31 tackles for loss, 24.5 sacks. 5 forced fumbles, and then going back to New Orleans. Yes, you missed them. We did them, Kevin. They were both first team. Obviously, you knew that. Grady Jarrett with 20 tackles for loss, 22.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. Both these guys really deserving of this spot. You want to go ahead and do off ball?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely the toughest position group to try to tackle. No pun intended. We'll start. Let's see here. Pull up the old stats. We'll start with a guy who's definitely made an All-Pro team every year so far in the cycle, and that's Tremaine Edmunds from Buffalo. 228 total tackles, 17 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 3 picks, 11 deflections, 7 forced fumbles. This guy's just an absolute monster. He's one of the best linebackers in our league, and he's probably going to be on this list, at least first or second team All-Pro for probably until he hits regression, and even then he might make some. Next, we have 2 newcomers to first team, starting in Green Bay with Leighton Vander Esch. He had a really nice season. He had 199 total tackles, 25 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, 3 picks, 10 deflections, and 3 forced fumbles to go along with 1 touchdown. And then we'll end in New England with Devin Bush, who Cody traded for from Pittsburgh. Bush ended up with 201 tackles, 20 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 4 picks, 9 deflections, 5 forced fumbles, and 0 touchdowns. So congrats to Will, congrats to Sean, and congrats to Cody.
Yep, and I'll go ahead and do corners. I think people should be able to figure out 2 of them by now.
Yep.
Starting in Cincinnati, we will start with Bengals cornerback Trey White, who had 8 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 11 picks, 7 deflections, 1 forced fumble, 3 touchdowns. Moving on to Carolina, we have Stephon Gilmore, who had 9 interceptions, 6 deflections, a forced fumble, and a touchdown. And in Green Bay, where we have Jair Alexander, who had 5 interceptions, 22 deflections, and 2 touchdowns. So congrats to Will, congrats to Cirilio, and congrats to Kevin there for those guys.
Yep, thanks for making it easy on us every year.
Yeah. Well, the first 2. We always have... It's always it's been a different guy every year for the 3rd spot. So, want to go ahead and do safeties?
Yeah, so I'll begin with my...
Start with your...
start
with
my
your
favorite
your
player in
the
entire league is finally getting the respect he deserves. And that is Cardinals safety Isaiah Simmons. 218 tackles, 16 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 picks, 9 deflections, 7 forced fumbles, and not 1, not 2, but 3 touchdowns. This man does everything. He should be an All-Pro every year, and I will die on this hill. This man is awesome. So congrats, Roy.
He has been an All-Pro every year. That's not fair.
Not first team.
No, and he shouldn't have been first team the last few years. This is the first year where he's put a bunch of numbers. Like, he's never had 7 forced fumbles before. He's had 1 or 2.
He's been robbed.
No.
Robbed.
Stop it.
Robbed.
Stop it.
The next guy we have is Minkah Fitzpatrick for the Steelers. 104 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, 5 picks, 9 deflections, 0 forced fumbles, and 2 touchdowns. So congrats to Perp and congrats to Roy.
Yeah, so moving on to first team All-Pro special teams, and I'm just going to bite the bullet here because I know that Vince is going to be upset. It's Justin Tucker only because he made
a 60.
8 of 10 from 60, and then he was 8 of 10 from 50. His only misses were from 50. I think we have to reward a guy who hit a 60-yarder in Madden. That doesn't happen that often, and his only misses were for 50+, and Mazza only attempted 1 from 50+. It's tough. It was tough. Punter is J.K. Scott. Kick returner is Greg Holland for the Patriots, and punt returner is Tyreek Hill. Oh, no, it wasn't Will's kicker, no. Punt returner Tyreek Hill. So that is it, and I will put the list out right now for everybody to copy link to message. I'll put it in content.
Yeah, while he's doing that, congrats to everybody for making an All-Pro and All-Rookie team if you had them. Also, if you missed it at the top, there will be changes coming to the pass block sliders, run block sliders, tackling. QBs are getting a carrying boost, and in addition to that, we are going to change some XP sliders as well. So if you missed that, those will be coming in the off-season. Other than that, Kyle's about to do draft grades, and
no, we got to do questions first.
Oh, duh! That's the whole reason we do this.
Yeah, I gotta figure out how to. I'll just let you share it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do it.
It's not letting me do it. You want to read the questions? I gotta plug my phone in while we do this.
Sure. Yeah, I'll start. Let me try to find.
And there are some on the thread and announcements.
Okay, I'll start to the ones that you sent me.
For sure.
And we can go from there. So these first ones are from Cirilio. What are the potential slider changes? We've already mentioned those. Do you see any teams taking a step back? Next season, honestly, at this point, it really just depends on who retires. The team that sticks out to me as of right now is actually Ryan's team, because I know he has a bunch of old offense and defensive linemen that could potentially retire. So without really doing a quick deep dive into teams, Ryan's team pops off the top of my head. What about you, Kyle?
Russ.
That's a good one too.
He's not. Russell Wilson's last year of his deals this season. if he doesn't bring him back, that team's going to take a huge step back. So I think
Right.
Russ, and I like the Ryan pick also.
Yeah. Is Burrow capable of an all-pro season if he stays a scrambler? Yeah, I mean, I definitely think so. He's definitely got the weapons around him to do it. And he
Yep.
had a nice year, so I definitely think he can make an all-pro if he stays a
I
scrambler.
would agree with that. Burrow threw for, I think it was like 3,500 yards, 37. He had 24 touchdowns and 8 picks. 641 yards and 9 touchdowns. He had a really nice year. If he could get his passing numbers up just a little bit, be over that 4,000 yard mark, I think he would stick out more.
Right, for sure. Do you see the Cardinals retooling and going for another run or blowing it up next season? Um, that's
I'll answer.
yeah,
I think retooling. I don't think it's necessarily time for him to blow it up. I think he might move some key pieces, but I think that there'll be pieces that he could replace with cheaper options. So
yeah,
I think he's got a nice core here with you. I mean, just looking at his secondary, John Blades, Byron Murphy, Baker, and Isaiah Simmons are enough to carry him into the playoffs if he retools around them.
yeah. And the point I was going to make was if Russ does indeed decide to move on from his older players and kind of do a little bit of a rebuild in Seattle, the Rams are still good, but they're getting older, and this San Francisco team is a little wonky. Purdy hasn't been as good as he was his rookie year, so like Roy doesn't necessarily even have to make any major moves. Like he could just get some
Nope.
internal development, and he could suddenly he would go from potentially getting a wild card spot to he might win the division, depending on how things turned out.
For sure.
Sam, how's it feel finishing as the best team in the NFC, elite team you have put there? Um, obviously getting that bye was huge because I mean, that's one less game to play and one less opportunity for Madden to really give it to me, and the wild card. I got pretty lucky. My losses came to Will in week one. Will's a really good team. The Titans, who ended up winning the division in the AFC, and Vince,
Vince.
who has had my number this whole cycle. So, my defense has been really good. My offense is okay. I'm honestly really scared to face Vince in the next round if he wins. So I'm really hoping to avoid Vince because I want no part of that Lions defense. I also don't particularly want to play Kevin because I've beat Kevin twice this year, and I just have a really bad feeling that I would not win in a third matchup. So I feel okay. Getting the 1 seed is great and all, but we still got some work to do. If you get the 1 seed and lose in the divisional round, that's pretty disappointing.
Yep.
This is for you, Kyle. Kyle, do you see the Dolphins taking the division next year? The East has gotten more competitive over this last season.
I don't know because I have to see what everybody else does. If the teams stand as they are right now, the Dolphins went 5-3 with Mahomes, 1-7 without him. So I feel pretty confident. We beat 2 of the teams in our division with Mahomes in Cody and Sean, but Pode has had my number this cycle, much like Vince has had yours. We've won 1 game against Pode, and it was kind of a really close game, and the rest of them have been blowouts. So I feel good about where we are. I definitely need to add some pieces on defense, and if I can make those moves, I think that I've got a real shot at winning the division. So I'll say hard maybe.
I like it. Dark horse in the playoffs. I'll give you 2. I'll give you 1 from each conference. I think Vince in the NFC, his defense is elite. His defense can keep him in any game, and his offense has not been as good as last year, but they're still good enough. And then I'm going to say the Broncos in the AFC. You could if Brendan had a couple of games go his way, like him and Phil could have switched spots, so he could potentially be the 2 seed. So if I'm Cerulio, I really don't want to see Brendan in the divisional round because his defense is really good. And Justin Fields has been good this year too. So I say the Broncos and the Lions.
I agree with the Lions. I think the Ravens are the sleeper in the AFC.
That's a good one
Um,
too. Yeah, just beat Pode.
they beat Pode, they beat Brendan already once this season,
Right.
and they've been on a roll as of late. So that's a team I would want to avoid if I was another team in the AFC.
Do I give Burrow his two upgrades now or in the off season? I would probably wait to the off season to be honest, because that would really suck if Madden screwed you like it did Kevin with Baker Mayfield. So I would probably wait.
Yeah, I guess I I don't know how close he is to uh like the bad archetypes.
Right.
So that's not him. That's Joe Mixon.
Not Joe Burrow, for fact.
Yeah, no, I'd wait.
Yeah. So that's all of Cerulio's questions. We'll move on to Brendan's. What do the Chiefs do now in the post Mahomes era? So he has a lot of picks. He has some really nice young defensive players. Um, Honestly, just build through the draft. The unfortunate part for um, the Chiefs is that you have three other really good users in the West with Brendan and now Twinkie and Phil. So that division is going to be super competitive in the next couple of seasons, especially once Twinkie turns the Raiders around. So really, it's honestly he just needs to hit on all his draft picks.
He has three top 10 draft picks. Uh, so one of those has to be a quarterback, and
Right.
then he needs to improve that secondary.
Yep, for sure.
Um, so
What do you think the new Raiders GM, aka Twinkie, does in his first off season? I would
he's gonna make a ton of moves.
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, probably, shore up that offensive line. I would have to imagine. Like, I know you went through on State of the Franchise, it's really bad, and Twinkie has a ton of money to spend. So I think he's going to be in play for a bunch of free agents. And he has, what was his draft pick? It's top five, right? It's like three or something.
Three.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's three or two. It just depends on where Madden puts him.
Yeah. So I imagine he takes a QB there, but I mean, I could be wrong, but I would have to imagine he goes QB.
He said he was not.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Um.
Okay.
I actually like that for him not taking a QB there, because you're going to get, if he picks third, he's going to get the last of the picks, and you don't want to be taking one of the late round guys at 3.
Sure.
And Twinkie has done it before. He usually takes late round quarterbacks and turns them into gold. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is Justin Fields really the answer at QB? I mean, yeah, I think he could be. He had a nice year this year. Um, you know, Justin Fields really should be a scrambler, and I think he got put into one of the field general or strong arm. I can't remember which one, but if you can turn him into a scrambler, I think Justin Fields could be really, really good because he already was top 10 in passing, I believe, for this season. So yeah, I definitely think he could be the answer.
I don't think there are a lot of other choices. So you've got, like Brendan said, he can use the 5th-year option on him and decide. So
For sure. Why do the Chargers suck peen? Because they're run by Phil.
Yep, because Phil is in charge.
Because Phil sucks. He's probably taking a nap right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, it's nap time in the Phillip household.
Yeah, Corb, I'm gonna post it in content later. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I kind of figured that link wasn't going to work, and I couldn't
Yeah.
remember how I did it last season.
Boot Phil, for sure. We're thinking
Yeah.
about it. So that's the end of Brendan's questions. Moving on to Sean's question. How would you rate the Bills' season this year? I'm actually giving it a B plus. I really wasn't sure how good Buffalo was going to be this year, and to be on the doorstep of the playoffs, I think is a nice season for you, Sean. You know, it it's going to be an interesting offseason because you don't have your first round pick or second round pick. Um, so you're going to have to use free agency as an avenue to get better and really hit on your later picks. So, it's going to be interesting. But for this season specifically, I gave it a B plus.
No, I'm going to give it an F. You lost 42-14 to the Dolphins with a chance to go to the playoffs. What are you doing? No, it's a B for me. It wasn't great, but it was really good. There was development on offense. I'm a little concerned about this receiving unit going forward because they have no one outside of Tyler Lockett. But for the most part, I think Sean did a really good job this season. So congrats, Sean, on that.
Do you think Cody wins the AFC East if Hawkins is healthy all year? No. We talked about this before. Offense is not the problem with Cody's team. It's the defense. So, no.
Yeah, he can't stop anybody.
Yeah, I think even with a healthy Hawkins, it doesn't matter.
It helps, but Hurst wasn't bad enough that it was that much of a difference. The problem is Cody lived off having two elite corners, and they're both gone, and neither of the guys that he drafted to replace them are that good.
Right.
So,
is this the year the AFC finally gets a Super Bowl since Cody can't curse us? Yeah, I mean, maybe. I think you got at least three, really good teams in Cincinnati, the Chargers, and the Broncos, like we mentioned before. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. It just honestly depends on which NFC team you get matched up with.
I'm going to go ahead and say no.
It's going to be a no from you, dog.
Yeah, nah. We're still going to lose. AFC is the baby conference right now.
Yeah. Is the NFC really good or is the AFC really bad? I'm going to say both things can be true.
Yes, both are true.
Yeah. So that's all of Sean's questions. Okay, moving on to Roy, his first question. If you play XCOM, how attached to the squad members do you get? Do you cry after one of your soldiers that did 13 missions with you bites the dust? So I don't play XCOM, but I have a friend that does, and he made all of our friend group into XCOM soldiers, and I was the first one that died, and he actually got pretty emotional about it. Because I was like the first one, which made me sad. I also thought it was a little weird. They got so attached to this fictitious soldier that was named after me, but I apparently bit the dust. So I don't play it personally.
I do play XCOM, and I do also get attached to my soldiers and name them after my friend group. So yeah, I get pretty emotional when they die.
That's fair. Does Madden steal souls? Yeah, absolutely.
Straight out of my body,
yeah,
my dude. So,
what was the best Atari game? Defender, Centipede, Missile Command, Space Invaders, or others? It was clearly Space Invaders.
Yeah, I guess none of them were that good. So I'll go with Space Invaders.
Which NFL QB wants? Wait, hold on. Which NFL QB once led the league in passing, punting, and defensive interceptions? I don't know. I don't know how I'm supposed to know
that. Somebody from the 50s or 60s, I would assume.
Probably.
I don't know, Bart Starr. I don't know.
Yeah, Bart Starr sounds good. I think that's all of Roy's questions. Moving on to Vince. What team from the 4 to 7 seed has the best chance of making it to the Super Bowl from each conference? We kind of talked about this already with the Ravens and the Broncos and the Lions. Favorite for Super Bowl MVP? Probably Joe Mixon for me, probably.
It depends on who makes it, but Mixon and I would say whatever running back from whatever team wins the Super Bowl would be my pick to be the MVP. That's every team that's in has an elite running back.
Yeah.
So,
player most likely to have a Larry Fitzgerald type run to pull his team to the Super Bowl. So I guess probably this is another like underdog question. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna say J.K. Dobbins from the Ravens.
I'm gonna go Jalen Waddle.
Mm. Worst.
I knew that was gonna be your response. Okay. That's why I picked him.
Worst QB in these playoffs. Oh, it's gotta be Jamie Newman. Even though he just won a game, it's gotta be Newman. Oh well, the Titans guy could be in the running too.
Osborne.
Yeah.
Osborne. It's Osborne or Newman probably. I mean, sleeper pick here. It's Faker Mayfield.
No. Okay. No. Worst defense in these playoffs. Let's see.
It's probably the Titans.
Yeah, I would probably have to agree.
Titans or Jets would have been the pick.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'll go Titans.
So you sent me one. These are podcast questions, but I don't know who these are from. These still could be from Vince, but I'm not sure. Who is the biggest rookie surprise this season? Someone drafted outside the first round, offense and defense.
Those are from Lee.
Okay. Thank you, Lee.
Those are from Lee.
I guess
I would have to.
I'm going to say Jeff Morrison for me. He was a second-round pick.
He was the first pick of the second round. Knock it off.
He was a second-round pick.
He was the first pick of the second round. It's your tight end if you're going to pick a guy from your team because he was like a fifth-round pick.
It's Jeff.
It's not Jeff.
It's Jeff.
Knock it off. Stop it.
Defense is tough because we didn't have a lot of like late defensive rookies. I have no clue for defense, to be honest with you.
Pretty sure Chad Manning was like a third-round pick, but I want to make sure. Nope, he was first. This guy was definitely. Nope, he was also first round. But yeah, I don't know on the defensive player. There weren't a ton of them taken outside of the top. The first round that like actually ended up contributing.
Yeah. His second question: do you think the run game is overpowered currently, and if so, what can be done to scale it back without killing the offense? Yeah, it was pretty clearly overpowered, which is why we're making the slider changes and hoping it balances out even more.
Yeah.
Would you rather have a GM league with an overpowered offense or defense? Last Madden, I felt like it was hard for defenses to stop the offenses. This season, you either stop someone via sack or turnover. The way it is right now, I think if the offense never passed the ball, it would be most successful. I just get bored watching a heavy run playbook, but I feel like it does cost me by not doing it. Thoughts? I agree with you, Madden 20. I felt like defense didn't really matter that much.
All right. No. Hold on. Mike, come on. Maybe he had a better season than those guys, but he's not a better quarterback than those guys. He threw for 3,000 yards and fumbled 11 times. Like,
I thought you were talking.
I would rather have
like what I was saying. I was like, is this some sort of hot take that I didn't know about?
Get real. Like, I like Newman. Newman's okay, but he is not better than Hurts, Wilson, Lamar, or Herbert. Like,
oof.
Wilson threw for more touchdowns, did throw for more interceptions, and had some fumbles, but, like, come on. Like, I would take any of those guys over Newman.
You win.
I do think the Titans.
You win one playoff game, and you think Newman should be the MVP or something?
Yeah. Like. Well, I saw it and I just got really upset. Like I was like, holy shit! I was like, what? Um, uh, so back to what you were saying that you were talking about it being frustrating to watch. Maybe I don't know. I know the question that he asked, and I think that I didn't like watching last season because I felt like if I got down 2 scores, there was zero chance I was going to win a game. Um, just because the other offense was going to score every time. This season, I don't like watching it because I don't enjoy just watching 3 or 4 yard runs 3 times in a row for a first down and then repeat.
We hate Madden, is what we're getting at.
Yeah, basically, hopefully we can figure out a nice happy medium. Like,
yeah,
like Madden decided this time that they were going to make the AI apparently way better on defense than on offense. So we've got to try to fix that with sliders, but we'll see.
What was the toughest position group to decide all pro players this year? It's linebackers and running backs, is usually the case.
I'll go ahead and say rookie edge was really hard this season too.
Yeah. Last question from Lee. The first created draft class will be used after next season. Will the commish tell us how many superstar / X factors are in the class ahead of time, or will it be a surprise? So, like we said before, just good to reiterate, like the only person that's going to know anything is going to be the CM that makes the class, and even then, so whenever I make my class, like I'm not allowed to take any of the superstar dev players because that's not fair, obviously. And we are not going to have any X factors, I don't believe, right? We talked about that.
Unless they were already created in Madden,
right? We're not like
I won't
adding
change
X factors.
I won't add any.
Yeah,
like when I do it. But if Madden already has one in there, then he's in there. I'm not gonna change it because like unless he's like at a position where I'm like, oh, we definitely don't need another Madden X Factor left outside linebacker, or whatever. But we will not tell anybody how many superstars or whatever. Like I may give like I have a thought at least for when I do mine on doing something where maybe I give people can do a scenario and they can get a scouting report directly from me, and I can like give hints, but we definitely will not be telling people like
right.
There are 18 or well that's too like 9 superstars and whatever. We won't give that away because it'll make it then people will just target those positions,
right?
So
hopefully that answers your questions. These are from Ryan. After opening the season 0-5, the Eagles finished strong to go at 7-9. Which version of the Eagles is the real one? Is it worth running it back or time to rebuild? This is honestly pretty tough for me because I think this Eagles team is actually more toward the later versions that we saw. Like Ryan had a brutal schedule to begin the year.
Yep.
And really didn't catch any breaks. So you can make the argument for both sides. So the argument against him running it back is that Dallas is still good. I think Washington and the Giants are going to get better. So this might actually be a good time to rebuild if like your guys like Fletcher Cox and Brandon Brooks I think Jason Kelce is still there. I don't think he's retired yet, right? Or is he?
No, he hasn't.
If all those guys come back, you could get some real assets for those guys. So I think you just wait in the offseason to see who retires and who doesn't and go from there.
Run it back, Ryan. Run it back.
Which of the playoff teams do you think has the best shot at making the Super Bowl? Making the Super Bowl. I'm going to say the Bengals. I think they're the best team in the AFC. And I don't think it's particularly that close.
I'm going to say the Lions.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. It's the Bengals. I just wanted to see how you would react.
Well, I was like, he's gonna say the Lions. Like I already know it. And I know
I'm a giant.
I think Cody sent us
He did.
questions that I need to pull
And
up.
then there's still. I got him.
Yeah.
My phone's charged.
Okay. Go for it.
What wild card team has the biggest upset in round one? I think it's the Lions, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
That's where I think the upset's coming from this time.
Yeah, if you told me that Kevin beat Will, I wouldn't be too surprised, to be honest, but I still think I think it's Vince is the most logical one.
Who are some surprise players who will be traded in this offseason?
You're not getting reverse jinxed, Vince.
I'm actually like, I was only half kidding when I said I did the Lions. I think the Lions have a really good team, and I think that they could make a run to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no,
now,
I
do they
agree.
have the best chance?
That's why I said I hope the Cowboys beat you because I don't want to see you in round 2. I really don't.
Right.
I'm honestly terrified because I really don't want to see you again.
And I don't consider the Ravens beating the Jets an upset.
No.
You know,
definitely.
I guess if the Broncos lost to the Titans, I'd be surprised. But I mean, the Titans did beat you, so it also wouldn't be as surprising.
Right.
So who are some surprise players who will be traded this offseason? Hard to tell. Early, I guess, you know, if Mahomes was still around, I would have said him. But he got traded in a lot of the big trades happened at the deadline, so
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see in the next few days who gets put on the block once we get to the off season.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's just we don't know. This is probably a question for the end of season podcast, to be honest.
Yeah, once we start the mock drafts, who trades for and pays Gregory Rioso? I mean, it could be Cody. Does Cody make that move to shore up his defense? Because he was at his best when he had 3 or 4 elite edge rushers, and now he has 1 or 2. So Cody could make that move. He's probably got the cap space to do it right now after making those moves last season. Somebody like Sean loves to trade for.
Nah, Sean doesn't have enough capital to go get him. So, I was thinking about this. What about the Titans?
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad thought.
I'd like to see Jeremy get a young stud on defense because Von Miller is, I would say, probably going to retire after this year. I'm surprised he didn't retire last year. So I would love for the Titans to get a nice young pass rusher.
I'll throw a wild card in there. The Dolphins, just
the Lions trading for Greg. I mean, you could, Vince, but I mean, you already have a couple really good young guys. But you could. I mean, obviously, you can do whatever you want. Which teams do you believe will benefit most by the upcoming slider adjustments? Probably the more pass-happy teams.
Yep. Dolphins, Falcons, probably the Jets with the carrying increase. Same with the Giants.
Yeah.
Cowboys, Eagles, Lions, Jacksonville. Those would be the ones that, off the top of my head, who would have the biggest increase to their numbers.
Yeah, that's fair. Finally, from Cody, which team will have the biggest offseason? I think the logical choice is the Raiders.
Raiders and Bills.
Really? Why the Bills?
I mean, you and I already talked about it, and I don't want to put it out here into the world, so
okay.
I'd prefer to keep it to myself.
That's fair.
and hope it doesn't happen. But
Okay.
the more I think about it, the more I think it's happening, and the less I like it.
Okay.
So,
All right.
so moving on to the questions that came from the thread.
Buffalo, you spooky.
Yeah, you're scaring me, Buffalo. You need to knock it off. So Manic asks, how would you get more out of the Giants' offense?
Um,
Uh,
I think the obvious answer is getting less turnovers out of Giles.
yep,
I mean, that's just drives that are just ending with 0 points. And he had, what, 22 fumbles, I think, or something like that?
20, 21 or 22.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's 21 drives that didn't end in any sort of points.
At which comment, Cirilio? I don't know which one you laughed at. You know, a more run-heavy offense would have been helping this season, but, you know, I think it's good going forward with what he's got. He's got really nice players, so I think just cutting down on the turnovers. So then Corb asked, what two teams that didn't make the playoffs this year do you think will make it next year?
Ooh. I'm gonna say the Colts, probably.
Okay.
And I'll say Washington. I think the only reason they missed the playoffs is because their QB got hurt.
Yeah, I like both of those. Either one of those makes sense to me. A few others, the Cardinals, the Dolphins, the Bills, possibly the Bucks too would be another one that could maybe make a run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh, from Tyler, who had the biggest expectation this season and failed to produce? It's the Eagles and the Dolphins and the Cardinals, in no particular order.
Yeah, I'd probably say the Cardinals.
You know, whichever one you want to pick, those are all the three teams who I thought could make big runs into the playoffs, and none of them did. Who is your sleeper team? I think he means as far as like
Like the
in the
playoffs?
playoffs, and yeah, and I think we've said like
Yeah.
Lions, Broncos. Who do you think the best prospect coming out of this year's class is?
I haven't looked.
One
I
of
have no clue.
the quarterback probably. He's the early first round guy. Is probably going to be the biggest impact, especially with slider changes. So. I also want to go back because Tyler asked questions last time and I missed them. So should the Browns rebuild? Yes, I think that's pretty obvious that they need to like make some changes. Should the Browns trade 4 young defensive stars for quarterback Patrick Mahomes? I mean, you might have, probably should have, but you didn't. And then this one is, I guess, specifically for me since I'm in charge of the Dragons. What do you look for Double Dragon? For me, the biggest thing is consistency and quality. Like, you know, if somebody just puts one thing out at the end of the year and it's a big thing, that's helpful, but it's not like as good as somebody who's putting out really good things all the time for me. And like Roy, like if you can make me laugh with your content like Roy does, you're gonna be a shoo-in for Double Dragon. Roy's consistent, he has good quality stuff, and he makes me laugh. Like he checks all 3 of the boxes that I want. But you know, just consistency will help you get to Double Dragon, for sure. So back to the thread, and we've got from Pode. Why is EA so bad at programming AI?
Because they have all their interns do their programming.
Yeah. The real answer, they try to pump out a game in 6 to 9 months that probably they need to take 2 years to work on. Is the real problem. They have to let things go, and makes them too much money to ignore that, so it becomes the gameplay that suffers.
Yep.
Super Bowl favorite. Bengals, I guess.
Yeah, I'll go with the Bengals.
Why do the Jets cover their hands with lube before the games?
It's an interesting choice for sure.
Yeah, it's not what I would do, but they're just trying to help the other team.
Yeah. And they
did you
won the
guys have a
division,
good
so that's even more impressive.
Yeah. Did you guys have a good Thanksgiving? Yeah, I had a good Thanksgiving. How about you, Sam?
It was fine.
I mean, I think you had a great Thanksgiving. You got to see jean shorts. I didn't get to see fucking jean shorts.
It's
I'm
okay.
jealous.
It's okay. It was pretty much everything I thought it was gonna be.
You thought there were going to be jean shorts? There's no way you thought there were going to be jean shorts. You're lying to me.
Well, I mean that was a surprise for sure.
Seeing the league's absurd rushing and sack numbers, will there be a slider change? Yes.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, so back. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more questions from Corb. What will Poe do with 2 quarterbacks on the roster? Dak will be gone. I'm sure if he can make it possible, if he can make the cap work. I don't think Dak's around next season.
I would be very shocked if he was.
Who do you feel will be the best team in the AFC East next year? I will abstain from this question.
Oh boy. I mean, I think the easy answer is the Dolphins, but
Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna say the Bills. Give me the Bills.
Oh, I hate you so much. It's okay.
I believe in you, Sean. Make me
that
proud.
42 to 14. That 42 to 14 I keep seeing in the top left corner of my screen tells a completely different story.
That was last year.
Mac and cheese or dressing. I guess dressing because I'm lactose intolerant, so mac and cheese is a bad thing for me.
Guess what? I'm gonna say neither because both those dishes are trash.
Nicely buttered rolls or biscuits.
Biscuits.
I mean, I like buttered rolls, I guess.
Give me the biscuit.
Marshall Falk or LaDainian Tomlinson in real life, which would you take?
Oh, no question. This is LT.
I mean, it's Marshall Falk, but you're allowed to be wrong.
It's not, though. LT is so much better than Marshall Falk.
I mean, you were like, what, 0 when Marshall Falk was in his prime?
Maybe.
So, I mean, you don't really know. No, it's LT. It's closer than Sam thinks it is, though. Marshall Falk was an absolute monster in his prime.
He was fine.
Yeah, he was fine. All right, from No Other One. Best Thanksgiving dish for each team city. I don't understand what that means. I guess, like, cities have their own dishes.
It's ham for everyone. That's the answer. It's ham.
I mean, ham is not the best Thanksgiving dish. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you?
It is ham, though.
I'm going to say...
Are you going to say something stupid like mashed potatoes?
No, mashed potatoes are disgusting. Deep fried turkey and in Dallas. I feel like that's what they would do in Dallas.
Kevin Falk or Kevin from NFL GM? I want Kevin from NFL GM.
I mean, what is the competition? Is it being a bad GM? Then I'm taking Kevin from NFL GM. Is it being a bad football player? It's Kevin Falk. Like, like, no, it's Kevin Falk in everything.
No, it's Kevin from NFL GM for everything.
Best overall performances this year. Probably Wyrick's like crazy, like almost 450 total yard game against the Cardinals.
Yeah, that would be mine as well.
Favorite games / scenarios this year. I think my favorite game this year was Rams and Saints Week 17 for number 1 seed.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It had everything you wanted. It had seating on the line. Oh, Kevin from The Office, easy. If he's a choice, that man makes a great chili. I don't know if you know this. It makes a fantastic chili. He's not so good with the numbers, but
he's got a serious gambling problem.
He runs a bar.
He's also an Eagles fan in real life, which has got to be tough.
And Andy gets none of the money from the bar. Uh, I love The Office. Um, Most anticipated potential playoff matchups. I'll let you go first. I think you know what mine's going to be, though.
Like, can this be in any round?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Um. Hmm. I. You know what? I want a Bengals Chargers AFC Championship game because I
Okay.
want to see what Joe Mixon MVP does against the best front four in the league.
Okay. I'm going with Lions Saints second round. Does Sam expel the demons
No, the answer
of
is
Vince?
no.
But my real answer is a Packers Bengals Super Bowl.
Wow, that's hurtful.
Um, I, I don't, I wanted it last year and I didn't get it. I got robbed.
Whatever.
I, I got Seahawks Patriots. I've already seen that. Um, which players are most likely to continue their dominance into next season? Tremaine Edmonds.
Can this just be any player?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna say Baker, especially with the slider changes. I think Baker could be even better.
Yeah, that's possible. Biggest surprises at the end of the season. I was pretty surprised by how good J.K. Dobbins was in the second year with Mike as the GM. Not gonna lie. I thought maybe last year was a flash in the pan, but it was a consistent thing. So
I'm surprised the Jags didn't have 12 wins.
fucking asshole. I'm gonna get blamed for that. You know I'm gonna be the one who gets blamed for you saying that, right? Fuck you. All right, and the last questions of the night before we hop into draft grades from the first draft are from Oscar. What do the Falcons do with their top 5 pick?
Um, hmm. That
I
that's tough.
Take the best offensive player. If there's a receiver who's early first, you got to take him. If there's a safety who's early first, you have to take him.
I was gonna say take the best defensive player. I think his offense is actually okay, to be honest.
I think he's got one receiver who's good, and the other ones are okay.
Yeah.
Like if there's an early first round guy, I think he has to bite on him.
Sure.
Just for the chance to give to a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. Oh, Rams Seahawks about to go live. Let's go, Corb. Take care of business.
Is Tua the long-term solution at quarterback?
Yes. Yes, he is.
So, here's my advice to Oscar. Franchise tag him this year. See what the sliders do for him, and if they improve him, keep him around long-term. But you can't make that commitment this year.
Yes, you can.
You have to give... No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
Stop it, Sam.
Do it.
Stop it, Sam.
Kevin, I'll let you sign Tua for 7 years if you do it tonight. I'll go edit
that's
the contract.
Oscar.
Oh, yeah. Oscar, I'll let you sign Tua for 7 years.
Is Tevin Barker the real deal? Yes.
Yes, that dude's really good.
Yeah. Will the Falcons ever be good again? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It might take a couple seasons.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna
but
have.
I think
you're gonna have like in a couple seasons, my players fall off, and who knows what Kevin's team's gonna look like, and
yeah,
Bucks offensive skill players are gonna start to fall off too. So, you're honestly picking a nice time to be bad because you're not having to compete with other teams in the South who are also trying to be bad.
Yep. So okay. 139 is when the draft grades start, so I can put that in the time. So starting off with Trevor Lawrence, who is a 2393 overall superstar. Looking at Trevor's stats, he's thrown for a little under 1,200 yards and 58 touchdowns with 40 interceptions and rushed for another 1,800 yards and 10 touchdowns. So Trevor's been really good as the number one pick, but has he been number one pick good is the question here. And for me, the answer is kind of. Um, I know that's like kind of a cop out answer, but he's been good enough for what he needs, and I'm gonna give this pick a B. Solid in the B. What do you think, Sam?
I'm eating an ice cream sandwich because I thought this was your thing, so I have no comment.
You can I mean you don't have to have a comment. So with the first pick, Trevor Lawrence gets a B. Moving on to number 2 overall pick, Justin Fields. 89, 23 superstar. Has thrown for also just over 1,200 yards and 74 touchdowns to go with 47 picks and no rushing to speak of, really. This is another, like, solid pick. Like, he hasn't been great. He hasn't been terrible. He's been really solid. It's another B for me. And that's going to be a consistent theme with these quarterbacks that were taken top 3. They're all Bs. So, surprise, Trey Lance for the Saints, who is not a superstar, is an 89 or 88 overall, 23. He's thrown for over 10,000 yards, 62 touchdowns, 32 interceptions is nice. He has rushed for the most yards by quite a bit, 2,600 and 16 touchdowns. This year, if his stats all looked like this year, this would be an A pick, but it's going to be a B plus for me. He gets a little bit of a bump because of the 4 interceptions.
You mean A
this
plus
season?
You mean
No,
A plus?
I mean B plus.
Okay.
The first A plus doesn't come for a few more picks.
Is it Travis Etienne?
It's not. Travis Etienne gets a D. Just spoiler alerts.
Yeah. If it's
so
dodgy, I'm leaving.
He wasn't a first round pick. He wasn't a first round pick.
Oh yeah.
Jamar Chase was the number 4 overall pick. He is 24, 93 superstar. He's put up 2,900 yards and 16 touchdowns. It's not. Jalen Waddle is an A pick, but Jamar Chase is a B plus. He's probably the best receiver in the first round. Probably. It's close. So he's a B plus guy. With the number 5 pick, with the number 5 pick, the Niners took Penny Sewell, and he is a 24, 86 superstar. He has given up 23 sacks in 3 seasons. He's a C minus pick. His rating keeps him from being low. He has been a bust so far. That first year he was good. Every year since he's been worse and worse. He's missed games. He's just not been as good as he should be. This guy should be the best tackle, one of the top 5 tackles in the league right now, and he's just not. So he's a C minus pick at this moment, with a chance to improve if he turns it around going forward. I just don't know if it's possible. Rams' first round pick at number 6 was Micah Parsons, who is a 23, 90 overall guy who has put up a ton of tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks, only the 1 interception, but he does have 12 forced fumbles. This is an A minus pick for me. Parsons has been one of the best linebackers. You'd like to see the turnover numbers be a little bit higher with Parsons, but it's been really nice so far. Moving on to my first pick of the 2021 draft, and it is Rondell Moore, 2491, 92. He's got 2,500 yards and only 8 touchdowns. This is a D-plus pick for me. I might be grading myself a little hard here, but he just hasn't been what you want. And when you see the pick that comes a few picks later, it makes it really tough to justify having Rondell Moore be the 7th pick in this draft.
What a bum.
I don't remember who had the number 8 pick, and I had it all written down that... who was bad that season? Was it Panthers? But they would have traded out of it. I'll do the ones that I know for sure. Number 9 was the Colts. They took Rashad Bateman at number 9. He's a 90 overall. He has just under 3,000 receiving yards and 13 touchdowns. He's been maybe the number 1 receiver in this draft. It's between him or in the first round of this draft. I don't want to say in the draft because that guy didn't get drafted in the first round. He's got equal stats or close stats to Chase. So this is going to be a B+ for me for Bateman. I kind of saved Lee from himself here by not having him not letting him take more who he wanted. The second pick for the Saints that was in the first round is Marvin Wilson, who is an 80 or 90 overall superstar. Has 27 and 28 sacks, 2 interceptions for a defensive lineman, only 14 tackles for loss, 6 forced fumbles, and a touchdown. I'm going to go ahead and give this pick an F here. I just don't think that this guy really was worthy of a first-round pick. I mean, I don't see the hype with this dude. What was he doing here? What was Sam thinking with taking this guy? No, it's a B+ pick here for Sam. Are you mad, Sam?
No, you don't get a response.
I remember who had the number 8 pick though, so that's the Giants took Shaun at number 8. Has 6 interceptions in 3 seasons, a forced fumble, and a touchdown. Just kind of hasn't performed what you would expect out of a guy who was taken in the top 10. So this is going to be a B- pick. He's still really good with 92 overall, 25 superstar, but just didn't perform how you would want. Next up is the Dolphins again with left guard Wyatt Davis, 24-88 superstar. This guy's given up 6 sacks in 3 seasons. He's an A- guy. There's another guy who's been pretty good who was taken later at center, so he can't be an A+, but he's pretty damn close. So, another Saints guy who was taken in the first round was cornerback Patrick Surtain. Has he been good, Sam, or has he been bad? He's been bad.
He's been okay.
4 picks, 28 deflections. He does have 3 touchdowns this season, so that's pretty nice.
Yeah, he's okay.
Four touchdowns. I'm gonna throw this a B on this guy. You would like to see more interceptions from a first round corner, but beggars can't be choosers here. You know who else was a guy I missed is Riosu. Riosu, 24-86 superstar. He has 35 and a half sacks and 30 tackles for loss, and probably would be a lot better if he wasn't on a team that was run by bots for a few seasons. So I'm going to give this a B+. He's still really good. It's just he hasn't gotten the development that he needs. And I'm going to guess that he will never get there. Just based off, like, he'll never be, like, a top guy just because he missed so much of the early development time. I had somebody that I was thinking of who now I can't think of. Who did... No, that would have been way later. Oh yeah, I know who I was thinking of. Running back Travis Etienne. 25, 92 overall, superstar. He's rushed for 3,500 yards and 26 touchdowns, and he does have, like another 1,704 touchdowns on the ground. This man was saddled with some really bad abilities to start. He's got better abilities now. I just don't know if... I think it might be too late for him. He's an elusive back whose longest run in his career is 61 yards. This is a C+ pick only because another running back went later, and then two other running backs went later and have better career numbers than ETN. So it's tough. You hate to see it, but moving on to another offensive lineman, you have Bengals center Creed Humphrey, who is a 90 overall superstar at 24. He's given up 11 sacks, which is a lot for a center, but this guy's an A+ pick. Cirillo got him in the middle of the first round, and he's the best offensive lineman in that class. Will probably end up being the best offensive lineman in the NFL in a couple seasons. Cirillo knocked it out of the park with this pick. Like, absolutely. Like, can't argue with that. Other guys were getting cute with their picks, and Cirillo just went to work. Moving on to the Eagles, Javon Holland was his pick in that first draft. 89, 24 superstar. As 4 picks, 6.5 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, 17 deflections, a forced fumble, and a touchdown. He's a really nice player. This is a B pick for me. He's one of the better safeties in that class, so he did a really good job getting good value here with him. And then the Bears also took to safety Hamsha Nasirildeen, 25, 89 superstar.
If I can interrupt, Kevin beat Will.
Yep, so you will either play the Lions or the Saints, or the Lions or the Panthers.
I'm playing the Panthers.
Are they the 7? Oh, yeah, they are, huh?
Yeah.
And Lions-Cowboys is about to go live.
Awesome.
13 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 4 interceptions, only 7 deflections, but 5 forced fumbles. This guy's been really good. This will be a B+ for me. He traded back and still was able to get a position of need here. No, I don't. Oh, that's why. I was like, I'm on safeties. I want... Don't want to do it like that. he end up taking Leatherwood in the first round? Was that a first round pick? Yep. But it was later, but I'll still do it. So Alex Leatherwood for the Bucks has made an all-pro team, made an all-rookie team. He's 25, 85, superstar. He's given up 26 sacks, so that's not a good look, but this is a B- pick here. Dude's been pretty good. You can't complain about that, those sack numbers too much because he plays left tackle. So you don't want to complain a lot about it. It's not ideal, but it's not terrible. Roy definitely didn't have his first. Cowboys also didn't have a first that year. I'm pretty sure he was a first-round receiver. Let me double-check. Yep. So Devontae Smith has 2,600 yards receiving and 16 touchdowns. I'll give this guy a solid B. He was a later-round pick. You can't complain when you're getting a guy who's that good later in the first round. He definitely performed better than you would hope or could have expected. And really, really helped develop some decent quarterbacks there in Cleveland, who both are gone now. Kyle Pitts, 24, 85, probably the best tight end in that class, has 2,700 yards, 2,800 yards, and 11 touchdowns. This is going to be another A-plus pick for me for Sean. Just a really nice pick there for Sean. Getting a guy who has been the best tight end out of that class when he did. After Pat Freiermuth was taken, Freiermuth has 2,200 yards and 12 touchdowns, so a little bit more touchdowns, but way less yards. Freiermuth is like a B for me. Really solid dude, but just hasn't put up the numbers. So I want to do this. It's a little out of order, but I want to give my one and only really low, really, really low grade. It goes to Justin Ross. He was a first-round player. Has 1,400 yards and 7 touchdowns. A lot of this isn't Mike's fault. This, for me, is an F. This guy was taken in the first round and just hasn't done anything. He's an 82 overall, or not even 82 overall. He's an 81 overall, 23-year-old guy who hasn't performed at all. So this is definitely the lowest grade I'm going to give here with this F. Not a huge fan of the pick. Not a huge fan of the player. It just didn't work out for him there. Maybe he needed to go somewhere else and get picked later or earlier. I just don't know. Who knows with that? Waddle playoff TD. Congrats to Vince. I don't think this guy was a first-round pick. I'm going to guess. Nope, second round. They didn't have a first-rounder because they traded it to Sam. And he took Andre Cisco. 88, 24. Has 11 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 3 interceptions, 20 deflections, 6 forced fumbles, no TDs. Sam got this guy kind of late in the draft, so he was 23 years old. So I'm I'm gonna go ahead and give Cisco a B plus. These safeties all kind of are the same, so Sam got a good one there at the end of towards the end of the first round. Seahawks didn't have one. Texans didn't have one. Titans didn't have one because they traded it away. Who the Vikings ended up taking there. Let's go to the Pats. So I know who they took with their first pick. Here you have Jalen Twyman. He's a 91 overall star at 24 years old. He has 28 sacks, 21 tackles for loss, 5 forced fumbles. If I'd have done this after year one, Twyman probably would have been an A grade, but he's just kind of fallen off. I'm going to give him a B minus here. It's not great, but it's not terrible. I know I'm missing some guys, but I just can't for the life of me, and I can't find my list. Dolphins. Oh, wait, he's not on the Dolphins anymore. The last pick the Dolphins made, 32 overall in that draft class, was used on... Quincy Roach, who's 26, 86 superstar. He's got 38 sacks, 31 tackles for loss, 4 forced fumbles, and a TD. Roach was the last pick of that first round. I would say he's probably a B plus grade guy. He's going to put up numbers across from Kelvin Mobley, so that's good for the Chiefs. He's got 2 really, really good pass rushers. I can't think of the other guys right now off the top of my head, so if you guys want to send them to me... He has... The 32 pick has more sacks than him. Don't get salty, Cody. Don't get salty. He's a B minus. I told you he would have been A plus after year one. The man's been hurt. He hasn't put up numbers. He's not even the best defensive end you drafted that class. I would say that Thomas has been better. No, Will, you didn't. You didn't get anybody on there. I would say that Xavier Thomas has been better. So yeah, if you want to send them to me, I will do them later. You had Vander Esch, Jair, Lenore. I think that was it off the top of my head that I can remember. Sam will post it soon, but so yeah, if you guys send guys who didn't get grades, or if you have anybody specific who wasn't a first round pick, who you want to see get graded, send them to me and I'll put it together sometime. Maybe like during the live draft. That could be something that I do when we don't have anything to talk about. But that's going to be it if Sam wants to hop back on and say goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
So everybody have a great night. Hope everybody had a safe Thanksgiving. Good luck to everybody still in the playoffs. I'm sorry that you lost, Will. But yeah, so everybody have a great night.